Some laws are written in fear, others in total chaos. And somehow no one deleted them. Tonight we're diving into the top 10 real laws that still exist. And they are strange. Let's open up the files. In Singapore, chewing gum isn't just frowned upon, it's basically a criminal act. Since 1992, the country has enforced one of the strictest bans on gum in the world. The reason? Cleanliness. Seriously, the story goes that gum was messing with the sensors on their MRT trains, and apparently, enough was enough. So they made it illegal to sell or import chewing gum, unless it's medicinal, like the kind dentists give you, and even that's heavily regulated. The law's taken super seriously. People have been fined thousands of dollars and even detained. It's one of those rules that sounds like it's out of some Orwellian comedy sketch, but it's fully real. It reflects a bigger pattern in Singapore's code, a focus on extreme public cleanliness tied to strict social rules. The city looks pristine, but there's this quiet eeriness to how much control is lurking beneath the surface. Picture a place so ordered, rebellion looks like juicy fruit stuck under a bench. The next time you're about to chew on something minty, maybe just don't do it in Singapore, or at least hide it like it's contraband, because apparently, it kind of is. Let's say you're feeling faint in the UK Parliament building. Pro tip, don't die there. It's technically illegal. Yep, it's an actual law, though it sounds like something out of a Monty Python sketch. The logic dates back to centuries-old royal tradition, because Parliament is considered a royal palace. And if you die in one, protocol requires a state funeral. Obviously, no one wants that bill. So the law, while rarely enforced, like how do you punish someone for dying, was meant to deter the legal mess that would follow. It's the kind of bureaucratic ghost rule that quietly lingers in the paperwork, but makes you wonder how many other rules are just gathering legal dust. There have actually been attempts to repeal it, but defenders argue its origins are symbolically important. So if you're feeling lightheaded while visiting Parliament, maybe step outside first. Not medical advice, just legally spooky observation. Believe it or not, Canada still has a law on the books that makes it illegal to pretend to practice witchcraft. Now read that again. Pretend. Weirdly, actual spiritual practice isn't the issue. The law, part of Section 365 of their criminal code, specifically targets fraudsters, people using psychic or magical claims to con others out of money. You'd think this would be repealed by now, but it lingered well into the 21st century, before changes started happening. In fact, as recently as 2018, people were being charged under this law. While it's technically about protecting people from scams, it's haunted by a long, colonial-era history of suspicion and control over spiritual beliefs. This isn't about crystal shops or tarot readers exactly. It's about that grey area where law, fear, and the unknown blur together. Funny how superstition never really leaves courtrooms. In Japan, it's not illegal to be overweight, but it is illegal for certain institutions and companies to have citizens on their rolls who exceed a specific waist size. Based on a law from 2008, nicknamed the Metabo Law, employers and city governments are supposed to monitor the waistlines of people aged 40 to 75. If those numbers get too high, the company or government branch could face financial penalties. It's all part of an intense effort to curb metabolic syndromes and reduce healthcare costs, but the enforcement feels like something out of a dystopian health documentary. Imagine your employer measuring your waist and sending it to the government. There's something eerie about fact-checking bodies like spreadsheets. It's wellness, under surveillance, with legal consequences. Very modern, very strange. In the small Italian town of Falciano del Masico, dying is against the law. In a twistedly beautiful turn of events, the town's cemetery filled up years ago, but legal disputes with a neighbouring town have made building a new one nearly impossible. So in protest, The local mayor declared that dyeing would be illegal until further notice. It was a symbolic law, but technically signed into ordinance. Residents were ordered to take better care of themselves while the municipality sorted out their burial issues. And while obviously no one's being arrested posthumously, this eerie ruling reflects something deeper. A fear of decay, not just physical, but systemic. When towns run out of space to bury the dead, what else starts rising? In Portugal, don't relieve yourself in the ocean. It's against the law. And before you laugh, it's technically written into their legal framework. You have to admit, it's wildly unenforceable. Like, what do they have, diver cops? But the law exists, possibly more to discourage common beachgoer offences than to prosecute watery offenders. Some experts believe it dates back to an old Roman maritime hygiene code that made its way into Portuguese common law. The eerie part? The law stems from a deep-rooted fear of tainting sacred natural spaces. Oceans, rivers, they're seen almost spiritually. So peeing in the waves? It's not just disrespectful, it's illegal sacrilege. Makes you think twice about floating too close to shore. In Vermont, it is, no joke, technically illegal for women to wear false teeth without written permission from their husbands. Yeah, it's one of those ancient blue laws that never got taken off the books. Likely from the early 1900s, the law reflects bizarre gender dynamics and cosmetic suspicion from a bygone era. Imagine needing a permission slip for dentures. Now, it isn't enforced anymore, but it's never officially been repealed either. It's haunting proof of how outdated control can linger deep in legal archives. And it makes you wonder, what other pieces of quiet oppression are hiding between the mundane paragraphs of old municipal codes? Australia has some extremely niche laws, one of the strangest. In South Australia, it's illegal to disrupt a funeral or a séance. Yes, a séance. Section 7A of the Summary Offences Act makes it a crime to interrupt, disturb, or mislead anyone actively participating in spiritualist practices. You'd think séances were a thing of the past, but no, this law dates to when spiritualism was a serious movement, and disrupting contact with the beyond was considered a form of assault. It's proof that even the spirit world has its legal protections. You just have to wonder, what happened to cause this law? What kind of bone-chilling séance incident forced Parliament to say, "Okay, that's enough"? In many parts of Switzerland, flushing a toilet after 10 p.m. in shared apartment buildings is illegal. Not because of plumbing, but out of noise concern. The Swiss take quiet hours seriously. There's even a name for it. Nachtruhe, literally night peace. The law's intent is to prevent disturbances in residential harmony. But it gets pretty intense. Vacuuming and even wearing loud shoes can land you a warning. Swiss citizens have mixed feelings. They love order, but some admit these rules border on surreal. Imagine being treated like a criminal for flushing. But hey, rules are rules, and apparently silence is golden. Legally binding golden. This might be the kindest sounding law, with the creepiest implications. In Denmark, if a prisoner escapes and turns themselves back in, they can't be punished further. That's right, as long as they don't commit other crimes while they're out, they're not charged extra for the actual escape. The law reflects Denmark's rehabilitative philosophy, but the vibe it gives is almost mythic, like an unspoken pact with fate. You left, but you came back. That's enough. It draws a weird line between morality and legality. But it also makes you wonder how many returns were never made, and how many ghosts that law never caught. There you have it. Laws so strange you'd swear they were made up. But the truth is always stranger, right? If this gave you something weird to think about, hit like, maybe subscribe, and don't worry. We've got more glitch in the system stories every weeknight. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded, and avoid chewing gum in Singapore. That was your dose of the unknown. See you in the next file. Subscribe for more of the unknown.